Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Cassie and I just wanted to come on here and share my miscarriage story with all of you. Try to give some hope to those of you that are experiencing it too and have gone through the same thing as I did. Let you know that everything is eventually going to be okay and everything does happen for a reason. My video will probably have to be split up into parts because it's really long, so bear with me please. Okay, so let's get into it. And we currently have a 6-year-old son. In 2017, we decided to try for another baby. So I got my birth control taken out and we started trying right away. I never thought it would take as long as it did. You know, I always see people that get pregnant right after they get their birth control taken out because they're the most fertile, but that wasn't the case for us. We had tried just everything. I had tried to buy ovulation tests to try to see if that would work. Maybe I wasn't tracking my ovulation correctly. So we did that. It was taking some time and I know how it is. I know seeing the negative test and getting your period, it sucks. Like, it is heartbreaking and I know exactly what you guys are going through if you are having troubles getting pregnant like we did. Obviously was devastated each time, each month, because I'm emotional and that's just how I am. Luckily I had TJ, my boyfriend. You're gonna hear me talk about him a lot in this video. I had him to help me kind of pull through my sadness and give me hope. He is definitely the more positive one out of both of us. So he would always tell me it's gonna happen when it's supposed to, don't be sad. And obviously it was hard for me to, you know, listen, but he was right, obviously. So a year had passed, we had still been trying and nothing had happened. So the next year, 2018, I went to a gynecologist and had just told them I had trouble getting pregnant. Can you guys see if there is something wrong? I thought there was something wrong with like my ovaries or something, I don't know. So they had, I don't remember exactly what they did, but he did a lot of tests. And I do remember him taking my blood around the time I was ovulating just to see if I was ovulating, and I was. Every test that he gave me came back normal and he didn't know why I wasn't getting pregnant yet, and he said it just takes longer for some people. So he kind of just sent me on my way and we kept trying, just going through the same thing every month. And then in April 2019, we finally have gotten our positive. And it was weird because I had been late. I was late, but I'm usually kind of late on my period, and you know, usually eventually it will come. I was at the point where I was scared to take a pregnancy test because I hated seeing negatives. Like, it was just devastating. So I just kind of waited for my period to come, even though that was horrible too. But one night we were just kind of sitting there, we were going to bed, and TJ just was like, why don't you just take a pregnancy test to see what it said? So I right away kind of told myself, don't get your hopes up, like, it's nighttime, so your pee's probably diluted and it's not as potent as it would be in the morning. So I took the test. I took 2, the little cheapy test, and I laid back down and waited for my timer to go off. And I went in there and I immediately saw 2 dark lines on both of the tests, and I couldn't say anything. I was just crying. I just started crying, and TJ knew that obviously it meant it was positive. So he came in and I was just crying and I was just a wreck, but I was so happy. Like, it was obviously happy tears, and I was just in shock. That night I couldn't sleep. I was just smiling the whole entire time. So the next day I wanted to get an actual digital test that said either pregnant or not pregnant, because I wanted to see the words. You know, you just got to see exactly what it says. So I went to a few different stores trying to look for the Clear Blue digitals. They're the ones that say the pregnant. I wanted those ones. So we buy 2 of those. I get home and I take both of them and they both say pregnant. And I was just, oh, I was so happy. Oh my God. to see the 2 lines, but then to actually see the words pregnant after 2 years of trying with no luck whatsoever, it was amazing. So after that, we had called the doctors to see, you know, what we do. Can we schedule an appointment? They said they have to have me come in and take a test there just to confirm that I am pregnant, and then they can set up appointments. So I went in, they gave me another test, obviously that came back positive too, and they set me up with an ultrasound and a doctor's appointment for 8 weeks. Well, I'd be at 8 weeks at the time. So right now I was about 4 weeks, and they calculated my due date to be December 21st, 2019. So a Christmas baby. I was like so excited. I love Christmas. So I was like, we finally get to have, you know, a Christmas baby, and it was exciting. So I had kind of thought that I just got lucky because I had no symptoms like whatsoever. The only symptoms I had were TMI, but my boobs were so sore. My nipples hurt so bad, and that was like the only difference I could tell. But I wasn't nauseous. I still had energy. I didn't have any cravings, nothing. So I was like, oh, I'm lucky. This is like, you know, it's good. I don't have any symptoms. So we wait. It's like a 4-week wait. And it was a few days, maybe a day or two before our appointment, our ultrasound appointment, and I started to see like brown spotting. But I had like looked it up, and I had asked a few people, and they said it could be normal for, you know, the early pregnancy stage. So I went into the ultrasound. Well, me and TJ both went into the ultrasound, and the lady put the wand on my stomach, and she's like, oh, you're super early. I'm gonna do an internal one to see if we can see them better, or see the baby better. So she did that, and she's like, yeah, you're really early. You're probably like only 4 or 5 weeks, because I can only see a yolk sac. And like, I just knew that she was either stupid or there was something wrong, because I had received a positive test 4 weeks ago. So how could I be 4 weeks pregnant if I had already gotten a positive pregnancy test 4 weeks before? So I kind of already started crying in the ultrasound. I do have a video of that ultrasound that I'll probably put up so you guys can see that. But TJ was just trying to stay positive, and he's like, you know, it's okay. We're just earlier than we thought. So I was like, okay, maybe. Even though I had taken an ovulation test that month and I knew when I ovulated, I was just like, okay, maybe something happened to make me earlier than I was. So she had asked if I had any spotting or bleeding or anything, and I did tell her I had spotting, but she, you know, assured me that was normal and that was okay. So they had set up another ultrasound for me for another week, like a week or so, I think. So it was like, I think it was Friday that day, and the next ultrasound was the following Friday. So I don't know if it was that day or the next day, but I started bleeding, like not just spotting, it was bleeding, and it was kind of like my mucus plug, it looked like. I know it's kind of gross, but that's just how can I explain it? It was like brown and bloody, and it was a lot of it coming out. And then it turned into like blood, like it looked like period blood, like clots. And I was just, I don't know, I was reading so many things trying to get hope, and I heard people saying, yeah, it's okay, some people get their period while they're pregnant, you can bleed and it will be okay. And I wasn't really having any cramping at the time, and then the next day I was still bleeding a lot, and I started getting cramping, and I just told TJ, I really think we need to go to the emergency room, there's something wrong. So we went, and they took me back right away, hooked me up to IVs, took some blood, and they took me back for an ultrasound, another ultrasound, and TJ and my son had to stay in the room. And I went back, and the lady well, I did the internal one again, and she was just looking, and it looked the same as obviously a few days before, with just the sac and then the little yolk sac. And she was trying her hardest to try to find a heartbeat, but she kept saying, you know, you are measuring like 4 to 5 weeks, and that is normal not to see a heartbeat at this time. And I kept telling her, well, I'm really supposed to be 8 weeks compared, like, from my period and from when I ovulated. And then she had told me that I had a heart-shaped uterus, and she doesn't know if that had something to do with it, but the baby had implanted like right in the middle of my uterus, and she said usually they have to implant on either side. So she's like, maybe that's why you're bleeding. She was trying to be positive. She wasn't telling me like, oh, you know, you're gonna lose it. She can't do that anyway. She was trying to stay positive. And she took me back after like an hour, I don't know how long it was. And we waited for the doctor to come in, and he came in, and he was just, you know, an ER doctor. He wasn't a gynecologist or anything. And he just told me, I think that you might be having a miscarriage. We're not for sure because we can't see a heartbeat because it's measuring so early, but just prepare for one. And TJ had asked, why are you saying that she's having a miscarriage if you don't know? And he said, just because she's bleeding and she's cramping, and this is usually what happens, so just prepare for one. So obviously that's not what we wanted to hear, but we continued on with our day. We got home, tried to have a normal day. The cramping was just kind of like period cramps. It wasn't that bad until nighttime. I remember laying on the couch and I was having contractions. It was bad. I kept getting like the urge to go to the bathroom, so I'd have to go to the bathroom, and it would just be like clots coming out. It was scary, and I just had to go lay down on our bed and was basically screaming in pain. The contractions were coming like every minute or two, and they would last for a minute, and they were painful. Like I would feel them all in my stomach and in my back and in my butt. It was horrible. And with my first son, who's 6, I didn't really experience contractions like that because I had to have an emergency C-section right away. So I had never really felt a contraction like that hard before, and it was bad. TJ was like, I don't know what to do. I was like, I don't know what to do either. He's like, do you want to go to the hospital? And I was like, no, because I don't want to be there going through this. I'd rather be at home. I'd rather be able to go to the bathroom whenever I want. I have a thing about sitting on public bathrooms anyway, public toilets, and I didn't want that. I had to just keep going because anytime I would go to the bathroom, it would, you know, stuff would come out and it would kind of relieve it a little bit. And I know at this point I kind of knew it was a miscarriage because I knew it wasn't this painful. So I didn't have any pain medication except for some ibuprofens, like extra strength ibuprofens. And I know you're not supposed to take those when you're pregnant, but I was like, I'm probably having a miscarriage. That's all I have. I need something. So I took those. It didn't work. Like, it was so bad. It didn't work. And I eventually fell asleep. The contractions kind of stopped. I eventually went to sleep. The next day I woke up and I was still bleeding, but I didn't have any more contractions. It was just cramping. And it was, you know, the same throughout the day. And then that night again, I started having contractions again. And it was weird. It just came at night. And I immediately had this urge that I had to push. Like, I had to go to the bathroom and I had to push. So I went in one push and I just felt and heard a plop into the toilet. And I just knew that it was the baby. And I had to go and get my phone for the light. I needed to see to confirm. And I got a spoon because I couldn't flush it down the toilet. That was just like horrible to me. I had to see it, and sure enough, what I saw in the ultrasound is what came out. A sac, I'm guessing the placenta, and the yolk sac. And after it came out, my pain went away. Everything went away. It was just, and immediately it was just a release. There was no more pressure, there was no more pain. And I was just kind of in shock. I wasn't, I don't know, it's hard to explain. I was crying, but I wasn't, it didn't hit me right away until like a few hours later. And then I was like, to see just your baby just come out of you, and 1 minute you're pregnant and the next minute you're not, is just literally horrible. It was, I don't know, I hope no one has to go through what I did. I know they do. I don't know, it was bad. So I know what you guys are going through if you have gone through this. It's emotional. I was so sad, and I want to say kind of depressed for months after this. Like, I was so sad, and I was like, it took us 2 years to even get a positive. I was just being negative, of course. I was like, it took us 2 years to even get a positive in the first place. So who knows how long it's going to take us to get pregnant again. And luckily TJ has just been my backbone. He has been the one who has just tried to put as much positivity into me as possible, to try to just like say, okay, I know it's horrible, but that baby, maybe there was something wrong, maybe he wasn't supposed to be here. And God basically just took him, and he's fixing him, and he will bring him back. He will give us another baby. It will all be okay. And obviously it's hard to believe that at the time, because you're so angry, you're so sad, you're like, why would he even do this in the first place? You're just questioning everything, you know what I mean? So I know you can't be perfect, but from what I know now, everything happens for a reason. And horrible things happen, they do, but everything happens for a reason. And at the time I did not understand it. It took me a while to get over this, and luckily we moved into a new house like a week or two after this had happened, so that really took my mind off of it a lot. Like, it was a last minute move, so we had to pack everything and just do everything, and so that it helped a lot. And I loved this house. It was my dream house basically, so I was so excited about that. And it helped me, it really did. So if you guys have anything that you can do, or anything that helps to take your mind off of this, do it, because if not, you will just be depressed, and that's all you can think about. And it sucked because I have a 6-year-old son who at the time was 5. Yeah, 5. And his mom is just over here crying every single day, and it's not fair. And my boyfriend, it's not fair. It's horrible, but you're gonna get through it. I did, and we got blessed times 2 because of it.